Bill Conway. He really is an AIDS hero.
Yes, that deserves some applause, I think, too. Wow.
You kind of say, aw shucks, part of the job, but happy to report that Jim's doing well today. You've spoken with him?
Yes, I spoke to him yesterday. He's doing very well. Spoke to he and his wife. He's been discharged home, and his wife is making him walk around and rehab, so he's doing quite well.
You know, one thing, firefighters, you were telling me every 6 months, is that right? Your crew goes through kind of another class or recertification of sorts?
Our firefighters do. Yeah, technically you need to be certified every 2 years. Our firefighters practice every 6 months. You
know, I've been through the classes before, but it's not something I use that often. I would have the fear of not doing it correctly if the moment presented itself that I needed to use it.
Well, Bill, you've agreed today to kind of give us a demo, and this is really cool. I didn't know this existed. It's a home kit, so your whole family can kind of get involved in learning CPR.
It's a disposable CPR mannequin, and it comes in a box just like this, has an instructional DVD, as well as an inflatable mannequin that you can use for as long as it lasts.
All right, let's name this guy Nick. I don't know. Show us how to
say
Nick.
Let's
go Drew. Nick. No, okay, Nick.
So the first thing is you always want to do CPR on a firm, flat surface on the floor, on the ground. So obviously because of cameras and whatnot, we're going to do it up here on top of this, but you always want to be on a firm, flat surface, so not on a couch, not on a bed. So the person needs to be on their back, face up. And then what we're talking about right now is hands-only CPR. So there's your conventional CPR where we ventilate, we breathe, as well as doing compressions. We're talking hands-only CPR. And one of the reasons people don't do CPR when they're trained is they get so confused. There's so many 15 to 1, 15 to 2, 5 to 1. Right? So just as you were saying, so it's so confusing. So we make it simple, very, very simple, hands-only CPR. Recognize that they're unconscious and not breathing normally. Start compressions, call 911, call for an AED.
So is there any tilting of the head or anything like that?
On their back, all we're going to do is just do compressions. And that's literally all I did.
And what am I mean, on our dummy here, but where am I looking for? Like on my rib cage?
What we want to do is we want to put our hands on the sternum right in between the nipples, basically.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so that's all we're going to do. And again, it's up high, so it's a little bit different.
Sure.
But what we're going to do is we're going to place this part of our hand. That's the part of our hand that's actually going to compress. We're going to interlock our fingers.
Okay.
We're going to lock our elbows, and when we're locking our elbows, we're making these a frame, right? So this is a frame, nice, solid. And then all we're going to do is we're going to bend at the hips.
All right.
And we're going to use our body weight. We're leaning forward a little bit. We're going to use our body weight to do the compression, not our muscles.
Hard though.
You are. So what we're going to do is we're going to go at a rate of at least 100, between 100 and 120, and at least 2 inches deep. And if you think of that, that's pretty deep on a person.
Right.
So I'd be up like this. I'd be on the ground. I'd have my knees right next to the patient's side, and then I have my elbows locked, and I'm going to bend at the waist, and I'm going to push down. Coming all the way back up, pushing down. So the way I do it, it's difficult to say, well, 100 a minute. How am I going to figure out 100 a minute? Well, kind of the funny thing is the song, the Bee Gees, "Staying Alive." Everybody knows that song, right?
Yeah.
The tempo of that is about 100 a minute.
Remind us of it.
Put that on.
No, I'm not going to do it. But I kid you not, when I was doing CPR on Mr. Jaggers, I was doing it to CPR to Staying Alive. I swear.
So you're not stopping though. I mean, you go 100 times a minute.
And you can see if I go down deep enough with this mannequin, it'll click. So that's telling me I've gone at least 2 inches. And I'm coming all the way back up.
Yeah, what about concerns of breaking a rib, putting too much pressure, not being in the exact right spot?
So sometimes you will separate cartilage and you will do some damage, but you got to remember what's worse, right?
Sure.
So this person is pulseless and they're not breathing. So they're effectively deceased.
Is it really noticeable when they start breathing again? I'm going to say yes, but is that the correct answer?
If they do, it's difficult because what happens when somebody goes into cardiac arrest, especially initially, is they could do what we call agonal respirations, where they're gasping, okay? Their heart stopped, but they still appear to be breathing. That's why when we teach hands-only CPR, we say, are they breathing normally? Not are they breathing? Because I'll tell you, Mr. Jaggers was agonal breathing. He was breathing, gasping, maybe a couple times a minute. Somebody could have thinking, oh, well, he's breathing, he's fine. But I recognized, because I've been doing it for a little while, recognized he was in cardiac arrest, immediately started compressions. The store had already called 911. They were Johnny on the spot. So we had advanced life support en route early. We had CPR immediately. So the whole chain of survival just clicked. Everything fell into place.
And Rod, I found out this was not the first life he saved. Way back earlier in your career, you had another experience.
Almost identical. I had a part-time job. I first got hired by Astoria Fire Department in 1988. And I was working a part-time job, and somebody collapsed out in front of the store. And they knew I was a firefighter, so they came in and got me. And same thing. Started hands-only CPR. And back then you didn't know it was hands-only CPR, but that's what I did. I did compressions till the medics got there and saved
so
it.
proof again, it can save a life. Thanks so much for coming in today.
It's true.
And
It's
these
good to have
kits
a
available,
firefighter.
you said online through the American Heart Association.
Yes, ma'am.
A great resource for the family.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Good information.
Drew?